All right, so line of sight, cars. Oh, so front end impact, mid femur, hip, head, full body system.
Good?
Yep.
Alright. Got the camera on the helmet?
Yeah. And it was.
So they kept his helmet on until they X-ray or the doctor removes cease-mind precautions. All right, so right here is what I talk about all the time when it comes to side of the vehicle, line of sight, all these different things. He is in a great position, everything, but here's the thing. If you're not paying attention 100% and actually looking for these things, you're not going to find them. And that's the thing, is that you could be paying attention 100%. You feel like you're doing everything possible, but what you don't know can hurt you. So if you don't know to look for patterns, if you don't know to look for sides of the vehicles, then that can hurt you. Even though you are being like, hey, I was paying attention. How come I crashed still? You know, it's because you weren't actually focused on some of the things that are clues for before the crash. And right there, we have the side of the vehicle coming out. Now, it's not that big of a deal right now because there should be stopping because we have this white vehicle. Okay. So we should be in orange stage. You know, we got that uncommon thing, especially right here. Maybe we didn't see that, but we're at least seeing this. So we're going to be moving forward a little bit right here. Now, why all of a sudden this vehicle stopped? Oof. I hate it. I hate it when they let people out. And that's one of the biggest things, is that they'll let people out and then boom, we got hit. Right here, what do? Okay, we can't escape very well. We'll hit him. We can't really stop right here. We don't have good total stopping distance. So what is it that we should be doing? Well, we can decelerate as much as we possibly can. And I think that's what he's going to be doing, but we have to do it as effective as we can. We don't want to squeeze too slowly because we're not really slowing down, and then boom, we hit. So we have to practice our emergency red stage maneuvers. This is when we should be going into red stage. We also see that should be going 35, so we should be able to slow down hopefully quite a bit beforehand, if not all the way. Make sure you have full gear to protect your spine, your head, your gloves, you know, for your hands, your legs, your back, and your chest, and your arms, all those things. Wear full gear, guys. All right, so we're going to be riding lane filtering position. Good. Oh, red. Yeah. Oh, there we go. We got more. So it was a red. What happened there, guys? Do you think it was a late panic brake? What do you think? So don't ride someone else's motorcycle unless you're sure they are properly maintained. Bike had bad front brakes. Possibly. Possibly. That's a different factor. Could be something. Could be something. Do you think it might have been too much front brake too quickly? All right. So we are traveling at a decent rate of speed. We don't slow down until last second. So what typically happens last second when we are doing that? We slam the brakes. So there was a slight squeeze. The brakes wouldn't be the problem in that, would it? Or do you think the traction loss would be the problem? That front tire lost traction. So I wouldn't just look at the brakes. I would be looking at my tires and making sure they have good tread. Okay, so now let's go ahead and take a look at the change in speed. Have we slowed down at all from here to there? Or did we slow down immediately once we realized it was a red light? So right here is when we perceived and reacted. We never really slowed down and everyone else slowed down. Did we assume that these vehicles were going to keep going and the last second we had to slam the brakes? I think that might be the problem. We had our hands already on those front brakes, so he was in orange stage, but he had his hands in orange stage. I don't think he was orange stage up here. I think he was kind of white zoned out. He was not paying attention. So I think he might have just locked up that front tire because he reacted way too quickly and lost traction on the front tire because we applied too much front brake. I believe it was a panic brake. All right. Okay, so high risk. High risk. High skill. I don't have that skill, so I don't take that risk.
My GoPro. Oh, yeah. All right, let's go. Let's go back home.
Right here, we're going to be doing some stunt riding. Okay, like I said during the first portion, is that it's a very high risk and high skill. I don't have that skill. Therefore, I'm not going to attempt this type of stuff because it's too risky. So we talk about risk management. You can reduce your risk with more skill you have in whatever it is. So you can reduce your risk of riding in town with more riding skills. Now, you want to go ahead and do some wheelies. Immediately, it's a very high risk. This is your risk, very high risk already to start stunting. The learning curve, you're down here. So you have, when you start stunting, you're right here. You have to constantly improve your skill like crazy to even match the high risk, high skill. You can't do anymore. It's still very risky. So motorcycle riding in town is like, about medium, but you start off here. So you can get up to medium skill and still be pretty dang good. And then you can start reducing your risk compared to how much skill you have with a high set of skills. So motorcycle riding in and of itself is a very medium risky type thing. It can be very highly risky with low skill. Driving a car is low risk. You got protection, you got all these different things. Motorcycle is medium risk. You start off with low risk or low skill, you need to get up to here. Stunting is up here and you start here, you have to get it up to here and you never really reduce your risk. So right here is a very high risk, high skill. I don't have that skill. I don't really care to have that skill, at least not right now. So I'm not doing it. So I can't recommend that you don't do it or not. It depends on your skill level. I'm just going to say I'm not going to do it. We have 4 hours today. We're going to be going over multiple videos. We're going to have some Q&As. We're going to be having a nice chitty chat, just hanging out. If we go over like 10 crashes, you can watch each individual crash or close call at your leisure on the DDFM Clips and Highlights channel. So this is going to be a panic break. Yeah, I remember doing this a while back, one of my very first videos, like 2019. All right, so what do we talk about all the time here? We talk about line of sight. We talk about space cushions. We talk about escape routes. We talk about planning your ride. So position for safety, we're in a pretty good position. You notice how we can see kind of around? Imagine if we're right here, we would only be able to see this and maybe like the back end. So he's positioned pretty well, okay? But the space cushion isn't the greatest. Well, what about his escape path? Oh, he's got amazing escape path. So what is the thing that's really the problem? We planned pretty dang well for this ride. What is the problem? Well, we're also not zoned in. Okay, so planning your ride is not just about positioning. You need to locate hazards and adapt to those hazards. Now, one hazard of having too close of a space cushion is that you need to be able to brake inside this space cushion right here. So we need to start looking for brake lights. We need to look for the brake lights for the people in front of him. And we need to be able to stop in time. So adapting or navigating those threats and hazards. What I would do in this situation is just kind of roll off the throttle. I know we're going downhill, but roll off the throttle to increase this space cushion. Okay, just increase it a little bit. This way you can see around as best as you possibly can. And then 99 Lives made these videos. Oh, that's gonna be lower back, your coccyx, which is your tailbone injury. See the back and back of the head. Now injuries and damage to the bikes. High skill, high risk. Not worth it to me. Not worth it to me.
Porra, tio, mano.
I'd be checking my buddy. All right, same thing. High risk, high skill. Okay, we crashed. Oh, good view. Oh, okay, so they blurred it out. It's gonna be blurred out, but this is right here. I want to focus on mechanism of injury only on this video. So right here, this is the moment right before impact. So if you notice right here, right before impact, we're gonna fall to our right side. So that is that impact that I'm talking about. So when you impact your right side, it's gonna transmit the forces into your collarbone, into your SC joint, and maybe into your ribs, into your chest, and then into your spine, your scapula, and everything. So when he hits his right side with no gear, with any gear. So he's gonna hit his right side, and it's gonna transmit forces. It could break here easily. Collarbones are easy to break. Okay, he's gonna hit this side, hit his ribs, hit his head, hit his hips. So what do we have right here? Let's just use this arm. What do we have right here? We have our shoulder, but we have shoulder pads from gear. What do we have right here if we do this instead? We have elbow pads. We have a helmet. We have hip armor. We have knee armor. We have boots. Okay, so that armor is to hopefully absorb as much of that impact force so it's not transmitted completely into the collarbone, but hopefully it's going to prevent the breaking of the collarbone or any damage in the shoulder girdle. So same thing with every other portion of your body, same thing with the helmet, same thing with that. So when I see something like this, I think to myself, how do we reduce the risk while trying to improve our skill, wearing full gear? I don't understand how to do the stunting. I don't understand any of that. But what I do understand is the impacts that can cause damage. Also, make sure you're medically trained just in case something like this happens. You can take care of your buddy. All right, left turn in intersection. Look at all the stuff around you. Okay, slow it. Whoa. I was going to say slow it down. Too much throttle. Too much throttle. Lost traction on that rear tire. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Okay, so be smooth with your primary controls, the throttle, the brake, the clutch, the shift, everything. Be smooth with that. So we're turning. We talked about that traction. Okay, so acceleration, deceleration, and turning needs traction. So when we turn the motorcycle, it needs tire traction. When we brake, it needs tire traction. When we accelerate, it needs traction, or you're just going to spin the wheels. But now we're in the middle of a turn. We're turning still kind of hard for the speed that we're at. And now all of a sudden, boom, we're going to do this. It doesn't have that grip. It doesn't have that mechanical traction that you need to actually grab and go. Try to do as little jerky movements as possible. So if we're in the middle of a turn, you can give it throttle. Just don't jam it down. Just give it some smooth throttle. Give it some smooth progressive brake pressure. Get prepped and ready so you have a smooth turn. That is the most important thing you could possibly be doing. All right, we're going a little fast on this one. Yeah, a little fast. We went wide. We can't keep up into our line. Oh! I almost thought I saw a fatality. Holy sh...
You idiot! What the is wrong with you? Show us your hands.
Hey, Trent. Still recording.
What's that?
Still recording.
No that goes in the evidence. Yep.
I don't know why he posted this. I think the cops were trailing him at speed. Maybe pacing him. So he's going really fast. So he hit a bump from the bridge. Okay, that can happen to you. So let's say you're not going fast, you're doing everything you can. You hit a bump from the bridge, it can kind of mess you up a little bit. So right here, we're going too fast in the middle of a curve. This can happen to you as a new rider, accidentally misjudging the speed that you're going for the curve itself. So we went a little bit too wide. Now, this is one of those big problems about going too wide when we're out in the street, especially if we are racing. Okay, so now we're putting ourselves definitely in this position. For racing, we go too wide. Boom, we have natural hazards out on the road. It's going to be other cars, potholes. Out on a track, you have a nice runoff and no oncoming traffic. So reduce your risk by taking to a track, but we're going to keep watching this in case you might have messed up as a new rider. Luckily, this right here is a car that swerved out of the way. This would have been a fatal accident right here immediately. You can kill the people inside this car. Yeah, you have a 500-pound machine plus however many pounds you are. If you go through the windshield, you kill everyone up front. Your machine destroys the vehicle, whoever's in the back seat. Now they're just up to physics. So don't go racing. Don't go, running from the cops. It's not worth it. So lucky. He's so lucky. Cops are on scene immediately. They're probably chasing him. Without lights, maybe pacing him.
You idiot! What the is wrong with you? Show us your hands.
I'm going to tell you right now, that cop, that police officer, absolutely loves the public he's serving. To see somebody almost kill an innocent person gives you that reaction. I don't know how many times I have said that in my head because I keep it to myself. I'm a firefighter. And I've wanted to, so badly wanted to tell them. Okay, a little quick story. Let's go to my office and share some of my firefighting experience on this one. It was within the first 3 years of my fire service, late at night, so like 2 a.m. It was around 2 a.m., something like this. It was in a neighborhood, a well-off neighborhood that I never really thought anything really bad happened. Called for a vehicle into a house, so vehicle versus house. Pretty bad. So you start thinking, you start putting things together. 2 a.m., huh, Scarlett? You're probably doing it too right now. So 2 a.m., Scarlett, vehicle striking a house, vehicle versus house. What do you think immediately? Drunk drivers. Probably thinking drunk drivers. It's in a neighborhood. Oh, that could be bad. 2 a.m. People are sleeping. There are people inside the house. Probably, definitely people inside the car. So you start going through this checklist in your head and you're starting to get a little concerned. You're starting to trying to figure out how many patients do I have? So immediately, since it's versus a house, it's going to be a huge alarm. There's going to be a lot of people being sent, battalion chiefs, multiple trucks, multiple ambulances. I was on a truck at the time, so I was showing up, or a fire engine. I was showing up, and it was a group of 4 young males drunk out of their mind in a small car It was a corner house, so, like, on the corner, you start to turn, obviously, so those houses on that corner, that's why I never buy a house on a corner because of this right here. They were hauling ass down that straightaway, didn't make that corner, they're drunk, crashed into the house, into a bedroom, into a little girl's room, and what happened, thankfully, because they made it 3/4 of the way into the room. Thankfully, it was a car and not a truck or a van, something a little higher. It was a low vehicle. So what happened was the hood, here's the bed, the hood when it crashed through the window basically, it went underneath the mattress that she was on and it launched her up like this, so she went flying into her closet at a high rate of speed. Okay, she was injured. I believe it was an 8-year-old, something very tiny, very tiny. My patient was the drunk driver. So I didn't have her as a patient and I was packaging all the other ones too. The father of the little girl had to be detained because he was about to beat the shit out of the driver and all the kids. I don't I don't fault him. Do not fault him. But detained, not arrested, just detained for the safety and to calm down. And then he was released after we packaged the other patients. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. I wanted to wring that little guy's neck. It was like a 19-year-old kid, and I was probably 23, 24. I wanted to. I was so pissed. The little girl, she made a huge dent in the wall. She went into the wall, into the closet. She went through the closet door into the wall behind it. Huge dent with the studs and the 2x4s through the drywall. Little girl. So when I saw that and the dude, I was like, okay, I'm going to take care of the dude. He's hurt too. He was vomiting everywhere. He had blood coming out of his mouth. So we had a suction. We had all that stuff. He was going in and out of consciousness. And we get him on the backboard because he had to be in C-spine. And he started mouthing off. Like mouthing off. Because the guy was detained, but not in the car, not handcuffed. He was just detained to the front entryway. And the drunk dude was mouthing off to the dad. Like, you want to fight? You want to fight? Like, whoa, puss, puss, do you want to fight? The dad ignored a lot of it, but my captain at the time, I'm not going to name names. This is why I still talk to him to this day. He put his gloved hand, like on the upper chest and pushed hard. And he told him to shut the fuck up. And he was just like, I've never seen him that angry. I think it's because he had a little girl at that same age and everything. I've had many times where things like that happened, and I wanted to say those things and do those things, and I know the person that said it, my captain, is not a bad person. Very caring, very caring. So when I see a cop, let's go back to class. I just want to share a little bit behind the scenes. That's kind of the reason why I stopped being a firefighter, that secondhand trauma. So that's why I'm here full time, but I want to use what I got.